Hi, and welcome to the Women Reinventing Midlife Summit. My name is Deb Johnston, and like you, I'm in the second half of my life. I've been through 2 midlife transitions now, and that's why I want to show you how you can find new purpose, build confidence, feel vibrant, and thrive in your second half of life. Today, I'm so happy to introduce to you Isabella Natrins. Isabella is the CEO of the UK Health Coaches Association, which is the professional body for health and wellness coaches in the UK and Ireland, and the first such professional body for health and wellness coaching in the world. She's a nutrition and lifestyle medicine health practitioner, a credentialed health and wellness coach, and a nutritional chef with over 30 years of experience in the health, wellness, and executive management space. Isabella runs a health information and education website and a successful whole health and wellness coaching practice focusing on women at midlife. Isabella, welcome. I'm so glad that you've been able to join us.
Thank you so much, Deborah, and thank you for inviting me. And I'm really looking forward to the opportunity today to share with your viewers a little bit of my own experience and some tips that I picked up along the way when my bumpers all started falling off throughout, when I got to midlife and beyond, and how actually that didn't need to happen, and how we can do so much to help ourselves to thrive in midlife.
Yeah, we certainly can. So, and I know that you're going to be talking about whole health and nutrition and lifestyle medicine today, which is a really interesting phrase. So I'm curious to find out more about that. What I'd love you to do is share with our viewers your transitional story, because it's really inspirational.
I started off life as a health research psychologist in a university department, and so I was a bit of a boffin, really, when I was younger. And then I was seduced into the NHS as a programme and a project manager, which was a national role. So it meant like racing around the country, feeling very important and doing very clever work. And I was exhausted at the end of it. So after several years of living this, very demanding intellectually, very rewarding intellectually, but it exhausted me. And during my early 20s, I'd already started to show some signs of osteoarthritis, very mildly. But by the time I got to 40, when the bumpers started falling off, there was a very definite osteoarthritis, which by the time I got to 45 had been diagnosed as an inflammatory version of this dreadful condition, really. And then I managed to help myself by having a hysterectomy at 50, which meant actually surgical menopause. And so by 52, I had got a full-blown autoimmune disorder.
Wow.
And I was really facing operation after operation, surgery after surgery, procedure after procedure, and some very difficult drugs, really, a very difficult medication. I suddenly thought, stop this clock. So I came out of the world that I'd been living in and decided to, what did I love? I did some research, obviously fell back on my research roots, and discovered that, my goodness, there was a whole world of whole health, nutrition. You could do things to make a difference to yourself. I couldn't believe it. I had been brought up very much in the medical model, not that I'm criticizing it at all, but I didn't think that there was anything else out there besides, what I had been offered. And so it was absolutely an eye-opener to discover that, my goodness, how much could I do? Where should I start? So I thought, right, I want to start with what I love best. And what I love best is cooking and food. And so I decided that I would learn to be a chef because I wanted to. I never wanted to work as a chef. I knew that I wasn't well enough, actually young enough to, to go into that life with really, the energy that I needed, but I wanted to try. And I found the Ballymaloe Cookery School in Ireland. And my goodness me, it's changed my life. So I went out there thinking, oh, well, I can, I want to do stacks and smears and all the chefy things and the presentation and, be one of those kind of foodie type people. And I came back with a passion for real food, a real understanding that it matters where your food comes from. It matters how it's grown. It matters how it's prepared. So for me, the word provenance was no longer like a middle class nice thing to have. And artisanal production didn't mean I had to pay extra for it because an artisan had produced it. It was that this was real food like our grandparents used to eat, and the parents before them and the generations before them. And it really got me into it. So I started to really look at the whole area of, traditional food preparation, the stuff that would have been on the table generations ago. And I started to really understand through organizations like the Western Prize Foundation in America, what the power of real food and food as medicine. And that really started me on my lifestyle medicine learning and studying, on my health coaching, looking at whole health, looking at how we as individuals are much more than our behaviors or much more than our habits, that it starts from the heart. It starts with purpose and meaning and understanding what we want our health for. And then when we get that kind of, and that's where our motivation comes from, the fact that we really are engaged with the heart space. And I'm a scientist, so I am not woo-woo, but this is a very powerful magnet, for people really understand, women especially, my goodness, that if we can engage with that purpose and meaning, it doesn't have to be a big one, not world domination. It just has to be, well, I just want to walk to the end of my drive without pain. I just want to go on that hike. I just want to play with my grandchildren and not have someone help me up from the floor afterwards. Just those things. I just want to stop these hot flushes or whatever other, symptoms that we're having. That motivation is so strong, and when you engage with the feeling of what it would be like, what do I want my health for? And then we look in my whole health model at all the different elements: what we eat, how we sleep, how we move or don't, how we create relationships, how we rest, how we manage our stress or just shut it away. Those lifestyle elements that really actually, they either support our health and our purpose and our meaning, or they undermine it. And so my work really, and very much the work of the UK Health Coaches Association, is around that whole health model, helping, obviously not just women, but helping people understand that, their health, they are the experts on their health. They are the drivers of their health. They can make a difference. And this is how we do it.
That's amazing, isn't it? I love what you say about, the purpose of, I quite often hear people say, I'm exercising or I'm eating well because I want to be healthy when I get older. But you're saying go deeper than that. Why do you want to be healthy when you get older? Yeah.
Because it's really hard, when there's so much written now about the world of health coaching. And I don't know if, should I really say a little bit about what health coaching is and isn't, a health coach is not, we're not a nutritionist, but we do know about food. We're not an exercise physiologist, but we do know about movement. We're not a personal trainer, but we do know about, moving your body in the right way to keep it supple. We're not a stress management specialist, but we're very much understanding about this, the effects of stress on the physiology, on the body and on the mind. So we are a kind of generalist, if you will, that's really we're very well educated in within health knowledge, but we bring that health knowledge not to practice health prevention and health intervention with clients, but to help them understand what they can do with their body in terms of changing their behavior. And that's the real power of it. So we are behavior and lifestyle change experts, but we're not experts in that, Deb, do this, do that. We're saying, what is it that you want to do? What is it that's important to you? And it's this big question, what is my why? So, you know, our purpose and our meaning. And that's not just a cognitive thing, because we can think, yes, I'd like to do this, and this is why I want this. But unless you engage with the feeling behind that, and for me, it's really important. We have such strong science now to say that when you envision the way you want to be, then your neurology, your physiology, your body responds to that vision almost as well as if you're living it. So you can make changes by thinking. And that for me as a psychologist is absolutely phenomenal, you know. So whatever else you do, I believe you have to start with what's here. What is it that's really going to motivate me, keep me on purpose in my life?
And I think science is starting to prove that sort of thing too, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. All the time. And it's really exciting to know that. And you know, as women, I think we have so much, this part of our lives that's this transitional period where, you know, back in the day, we would have understood those transitions. We would have understood those rites of passage, if you will, that when we get to midlife, you know, what we're not doing is trying to keep still. We're trying to move forward to the next stage of our life, the next phase, and our place in our culture and society, which unfortunately in Western cultures, it's all been lost, you know, and midlife women have increasingly become invisible and undervalued, and their contribution to their society and their wisdom is lost. And I've got to tell you, I'm here to make sure that that stops. You know, we like stop the clock. We look around now, Deborah, look who is leading in the world. Look who the leaders are that are really making a difference. And that's why I was so excited to be invited on to your summit, onto this whole event, because this is what will give, you know, this will feed women and help them say, you know, let's just stop this nonsense that, oh my goodness, we're in midlife and what have we got to look forward to? Say, yes, we're like, let's get up and at it, you know.
Yeah, so much. And that's my intention, you know, it's absolutely my intention to with these summits is to really inspire women, to help them see that, you know, this isn't the end. This is actually the beginning of something amazing. But there's certain tools and resources and practices that we need to do to really empower ourselves, isn't there? And I know for you ended up reclaiming your health, didn't you, in your 60s?
I did, yes, absolutely. I mean, I have to say, it was my commitment to, I was frightened, you know, I didn't want to end up on methotrexate, which is basically a chemotherapy drug, and I knew that, you know, from my health background, that was the thin end of the wedge. You know, it really was. And I thought, my mind was so active, and so I wanted to do so much stuff, and I knew that if I couldn't help my body keep up with my mind, you know, I was going to live the rest of my life in a state of disappointment and frustration. And to be honest, you know, my career has been, like, talk about portfolio, and I went from one thing to another, never really understanding why I was doing that, but always knowing I wanted to do it, I needed to do it. And now I understand why, because every single thing that I've done in my career has brought me to this place here, which has equipped me to be invited, you know, onto an event like this and help other women realize that you listen to your guts. but you must take action about your body. You must do that. You know, you must not be seduced into this idea that it's midlife, so it's all downhill. It's midlife, and my goodness me, you are standing looking up at that glorious hill that is the rest of your life, and it will be the best of your life, because everything that you will have done, if you really sit and give yourself time to think about it and reflect on it, and then create the purpose that you need. And that might be for some people making huge changes. But let me tell you, they'll be necessary. It might be for others just saying, actually, I'm going to make a vision board, and I'm going to put on that vision board images on my desk, artifacts in my kitchen, in my bathroom, things that when I look at them will remind me of why I want my health. That is a wonderful, well, we call it self-care now, but my goodness me, it's all, surround yourself with the intention. And you know, you don't have to sit and repeat mantras all day long. It's there all around you. You know, it's your purpose is what drives you. And as we know that people that increasingly that suffer with depression and lack of purpose and meaning, you know, their health outcomes. In fact, it's probably more important than eating the right diet, is to have that purpose and meaning and to create it. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be 5 small things that you want, that you're living your life on purpose.
It's
and
true.
Then look at the lifestyle and say, okay, if this is where I want to go, like, why am I keep going down these blind alleys where I know that this is not going to get me to where I you know, need to be and want to be?
Because it's the purpose and the desire, isn't it? It's a purpose and the desire that, well, it's a purpose that gives us the desire to change our habits, to change our behavior. Absolutely. And
making that commitment helps us to reinforce it, because, you know, you make the commitment, you make the little changes. Small steps can lead to huge outcomes. Believe me. And we can, you know, we can do so much just by making those small changes. But just keep on keeping on, and that is actually
so important. So what are some of those small changes that you could suggest? I know that you to do a lot around nutrition. I love the term artisan. You know, we've just got an artisan bakery just opened up in the Beaches area here. And when I first saw it, I thought, that sounds fancy, but it's beautiful food. It's really beautiful, beautiful bread. Well,
it's because they're old. I want to say old-fashioned. They're, you know, people. What I love about it, Deborah, is that it's young people that are doing it. It's the youngsters that are coming through saying, no, we don't want this, you know, bread that doesn't, this bread really, you know? We want bread that has flavor, that has texture, that has a crust that's enticing, and
that goes stale after 2 days, then you know it's real.
And you know, Mother Nature is so much brighter than we are, so much cleverer than we are. I mean, we think that we can create, you know, well, quasi bread, you know, faux bread, and do it industrially and make it cheap and what have you. But actually, real bread has water, salt, and thyme. You know, flour, water, a little bit of salt and thyme. If you look at the back of a, you know, commercial bread pack, you won't be able to pronounce most of the ingredients that's in that loaf. And it will have no flavor. It will have no texture. Your body will treat it like spoonfuls of sugar, because it doesn't need to digest it, because the you know, the process of making commercial bread actually processes out any of the fiber that is necessary for your body to break down, you know, so it just treats it like sugar. But artisanal bread, you know, of the kind your bakery, you know, if you're lucky, he'll be using organic flour. If he's not, then please do think about changing to organic, because there are huge problems with pesticides that are used on cereal crops, and they are we have the clear science now about the the health issues that they are causing. And even as recently as, it was last month, there was another new study come out of one of the London universities to show very clearly the damage that the glyphosate is causing in.
No, I try to eat organic wherever I can, but I look for organic first, and because I heard you mention earlier, it's important to know where your food comes from, and to know what organic actually means in your country as well. I think that's a really good point to make, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I think the thing is that, we've got to get away from this idea that organic is a middle class privilege. It's real. It's the food that our grandparents and theirs would have eaten before it was interfered with, before it was industrialized, before it was made into a commodity that, not to put too fine a point on it, it's, the food industry is not there to keep us healthy. That's not its role. It's there to create shareholder value. That's what it's there. Is, in the UK, that's a legal responsibility. That, if you are a corporation, you need to provide your shareholder value first and foremost. And we do have more and more socially responsible corporations, but actually the responsibility for your health rests in your hands.
Yeah.
So, we have to really take that seriously. And it's even a little bit more than organic now, because organic is a starting point. But you may have heard of this whole new term called regenerative agriculture, which is about doing a lot more than not using pesticides and chemicals. It's about restoring the health of the soil.
Yeah.
So if it starts, your health starts in your soil, and it's created in your kitchen. And if you just remember that, so it matters, the soil in which your vegetables, if you're vegan or vegetarian, are grown, matters. The soil on which animals are grazed and raised, if you eat meat, it matters, because you cannot be healthy on an unhealthy planet. And we have created such devastation with industrial process, not just related to food, but generally, that we have caused huge amounts of damage, and really undermine the integrity and the health of the soil. So, and that is what will, soil sinks carbon much more powerfully than trees. So while we're busily planting trees all over the place, which is a great thing, we've got to start looking at the soil. And what are the farming systems, and what are the growing systems? How can we emulate Mother Nature? So you do it with things like no-till agriculture, where you don't expose the soil, where the those soil microbes talk to the soil, to the microbes in our gut. They're related to them. We are part of nature. We are a part of nature. We're not apart from it.
Yeah.
So, let's just step away from this idea that we, as intelligent, wonderful humans at the top of the chain, can control everything. Because look around, we're not controlling anything at the moment, are we?
No.
Quite the opposite.
Yeah, we're controlling the destruction. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, let's just get real about this, and let's just take back that autonomy and that control, and recognize, and especially as women, women, we hold the world in the palms of our hands. We're hardwired for caring. We're hardwired for communication, for community. We're hardwired to educate. We're hardwired to help our culture move from one generation to another. That is our role as mothers, as teachers, as wise women.
That's right.
It is, and for me, it's so important that we actually go back, not just to, well, what can we learn, and how, but let's look at our place on the planet, and let's realize that actually why is it called Mother Earth? It's not called Father Earth, is it? Thank goodness. It's not called Father Earth. It's called Mother Earth. And we are from that mother. We are that essentially. And if it's not women that are going to be leading this revolution of not only health, but attitudes of, life on this planet, who else is going to do it? Who else is going to do it? So for me, my work is all about, come on, girls, let's just make sure that we keep body and mind together, that we get to midlife and thrive. And we get beyond midlife and see, well, there's no stopping us now. I mean, what's that song? No stop. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I just feel I don't want to sit back and retire. There is too much work to do, and it's going to be fun. And when you sit and give it 5 minutes thought, this is the work that women were meant to do throughout evolution.
Yeah.
But we just got lost in the story somewhere. So let's take back the story, Deborah, and let's start with reclaiming our whole health and our passion and our vision, and then make those behavior changes and commit to them that help us keep on track.
I so agree. I so agree. And really, that, those beliefs, we become invisible and unvalued. But in fact, it's really the opposite. This is our time to stand up, speak out, lead the way. It's where we need to become more visible.
Yes.
And we need our health to do it. It's
Yes.
really important. So it's changing, having purpose to drive your behavior change, eating organic, eating regenerate. You said regenerate was a term to you?
Yeah, it's regenerative agriculture. It's
Yeah.
Organic is a great I think it's non-negotiable, but I'd encourage women to learn about regenerative farming methods, because it's the way that our ancestors would have farmed, but we can now bring the new technologies. So it's not like going back to the plough and a horse, although that would be a good thing actually.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's every part of the evolutionary cycle, every part of the natural cycle has its place. This is the way that nature has designed it. This is why we're still here in 2021 and not yet extinct. But my goodness, we have to learn those lessons and look at how the natural world needs to be. And we have to be the drivers of the restoration of the health of the planet in order that we can actually survive on it. And that means looking after every level of that evolutionary change, from start to finish.
Yeah.
So for me, it's actually the whole thing. So look at where your food comes from. Look at how you prepare it. Make time to write a list of meals for the week. Plan what you're going to eat. Make it simple. Use simple cooking techniques. Use a slow cooker. It's like having a personal chef. You just shove it all in the morning, go off and do your stuff, come back to a wonderful meal. And you can eat stews and casseroles in the summer, but put them with the fresh salads and the vibrant live foods, the raw foods, fermented foods that restore your gut health. As many colourful vegetables that you can get on your plate for the phytonutrients that are anti-inflammatory. All real food and a diet that's balanced for the macros, for the fats, the proteins and carbohydrates. Women need carbohydrates, but they don't need to eat sliced bread. They need to eat those carbohydrates that are colourful, that are below the ground, that are full of fibre. The kinds of sugars that are in there give us energy, and especially at midlife. It's not true that we can survive on 3 kinds of foods per week, which is what we tend to eat.
Yeah.
We need as much variety, because the more variety that we have in our guts, it's teeming with beneficial bacteria, but it's also teeming with pathogenic bacteria. We need to keep those in balance, and the way to keep them in balance is to eat whole, real unprocessed food and as much variety as possible, focusing on the colourful vegetables, not because I mean I love meat, but let's make it grass fed. Let's make it not not fed on grain, which is could have been genetically modified, will have been desiccated with glyphosate before it's harvested. Care where it comes from. That's the provenance that we should be asking about. And it's why I wrote my book, The Real Food Solution, so to help people understand how can we understand more about where our food comes from. How can we become more conscious consumers? How can we ask the right questions when we shop for food? Where can we get it from? How can we make it affordable? So, who can we join up with to buy in bulk? How can we freeze a share and do all those sorts of, it takes some time to, it's a shift in mindset. But my goodness me, once you've shifted, you will not want to go back, because the health benefits that you'll experience will be, well, mind-blowing, seriously mind-blowing.
And the food tastes beautiful too, doesn't it, Isabella? It's beautiful
absolutely.
tasting food.
Absolutely, yeah. It's I mean, a flavor, and again, Mother Nature's not stupid. When something tastes good, it does you good if it's real, not full of chemicals that are kind of approximates to the taste that you're trying to get to. So this is why we have a flavor in natural foods, in whole foods. This is why we have the odor of the food. It hits the brain, it says this is going to be good, and it gives you the feel good, you want to eat more. So you have to realize that everything has its place. It's not like, oh, that smells lovely, full stop. That smells lovely. If it's real whole food, you eat it because it actually, Mother Nature's saying, eat me, because I will do you good. But we've lost that knowledge. We never used to think, my job wasn't well, it never happened. Who needed a nutritionist? Who needed a real food chef? Who needed a health coach? Like 100 years ago, 50 years ago. Because we all had that knowledge still. It was still there. But as we break our health, so we have experts like me popping up saying, you've got to go back to the beginning, guys. You've got to go back to the beginning. And, ultimately, it isn't rocket science, Deborah. Yes, if you break your health and it's broken for long enough, it will take you a little bit of time and probably a lot of help to get back on track. But I got back from 5 operations, constant pain, anti-inflammatories for 10 years, all ruining my gut, actually, at the point where I had to take something to line my gut before I could take the anti-inflammatories. I got back from not being able to walk to the end of my 100-foot back garden without pain. Having to use Nordic walking poles to teach myself to walk again, having to walk and when I was walking, to focus on the feelings of my feet on the ground so that I could sidetrack the pain, because otherwise I would have had to stop. But I kept going and I made the food changes. I started meditating. It was hard. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to go and save the world, but I forced myself to sit for 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, then 50, not every day, but I did it. I did the every day, in every way I am getting better. Every day, in every way, my knees are getting stronger. Every day, as I was walking with my Nordic walking poles, I was determined, and slowly but surely I started to mend. So and even at 60, you think, well, it's all too late. And now when my friends come to they don't come to the door because we're not allowed anymore, but they would come to the door, how are you? Oh, it's not fun getting old. So yes, it is, pull yourself together.
That's right. That's saying, oh, I'm getting old. Please don't say that. Don't say that. I
No.
know. So yes, and I love that it's about the perseverance, isn't it? And we've talked about this previously. It's not just about doing it for a couple of weeks and then stopping. It's like it's a lifestyle change.
It
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Mm,
And it's a journey,
mm,
Deborah. There is no such thing as a destination in health.
mm,
We are always changing. You know, real health is about adapting.
mm,
It's about adapting to the next phase, the next day, all of this, you know. So it's a 24/7 journey, and I say
mm.
24/7 because sleep matters. It matters when you go to sleep. It matters that you do sleep. It matters that you try and sleep between 10 o'clock at night and 2 o'clock in the morning. That's when your body's healing, and all of the physiology is going on in there to create health for the
Mm,
next day. That
mm.
matters. It all matters.
Yeah, it all matters, doesn't it? Isabella, you have an amazing free gift to share with our audience, don't you?
I do, yes. I have a little ebook that I produced a couple of years ago, and I've updated it for your viewers for this event. And it's never been more important for us to take responsibility, really. And
Mm,
um, one of the quickest ways that we can get that, well, we eat 3 times a day, so we're, you know, or more often actually for many of us. So, you know, everything that we put into our mouths affects our health,
mm,
everything. So for many of us, it's not the only win, but it often is the quickest win of making those changes and turning it around. So my ebook is called Optimum Nutrition for Hormonal Health for Women. And basically it gives you 12 tips of what you can do. It's 12 drivers, if you like. So the first is heal and seal your gut, because, and I go into that a little bit, the gut is like a fine sieve. We can create holes in that sieve, which allows stuff to get from the digestive tract into the
oh,
bloodstream.
wow. That's awesome.
There. It causes inflammation, and it can provoke then just about every
Mm,
chronic disease. Hippocrates said that all diseases begin in the gut, and he was probably right.
mm.
So we need to heal and seal that gut. We then need to remove the foods and the toxins in our environment that are helping to sustain a dysfunctional gut. So food intolerances, food allergies. Let's look at, I don't mean you have to go off and get tested, but let's look at the food you're eating. What's your reaction to it? Try and take out some of the things that are going to be um, unfriendly to that process that you're trying to instigate. When you've sealed the gut and started to heal it, then healing for the body can really begin. So then you need to look at
So
how
these 12 steps are in your ebook.
in there. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's fantastic. That's awesome. So you can access Isabella's free gift on this speaker page that you're watching the video on now. You will find the link to access her free gift. If you click on that link, it'll be just underneath the video. Click on the link and you can download Isabella's free gift there. And also the email that you received this morning announcing Isabella's free gift. If you click on the link there, you'll be able to access it there too. So 2 places that you can access her free gift. Isabella, thank you so much. That's such a generous gift.
Oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome. Everybody is really welcome. I just would encourage you to please do download it. Make a start. Make a start somewhere. It doesn't matter. Life is a circle. It's not that you have to do this, then. I mean, I would personally recommend you look at healing and sealing your gut. So look at leaky guts. If you have any of those symptoms, which most of us do, unfortunately, start there. And then other things will fall into place. But that whole cycle, and in the book there's a description of the whole cycle, and you can see, well, if I do a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of that, and then celebrate, notice how different you feel, celebrate the wins, celebrate that, oh, that pain is not so bad, this movement is easier. I feel better this morning after a good night's sleep because I haven't been on my phone till 2 o'clock in the morning looking at, I don't know, Twitter or whatever it is that you know you do. So kind of like, come on, girls, pull yourselves together. Let's get up and at 'em. That's my message to you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you, Isabella. That was fantastic.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah,
Thank
some
you.
really awesome information. And thank you everyone for tuning in. I trust that you have enjoyed this conversation as much as we have and gained some really great insights for maintaining your own health so that you can thrive in midlife and well beyond midlife as well. Keep tuning in for upcoming interviews. We have more incredible women like Isabella, all with expertise in their own field, sharing on different topics in midlife, menopause, purpose, mindset, career, finance, sex and relationships, and lots more. Isabella, this has been a really wonderful conversation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And thank you, everyone. And I'll see you next time.